Do you want to know the absolute fastest way to make a narcissist lose interest in you entirely? I am going to share 7 powerful strategies that will cause them to walk away and leave you alone for good. And believe me, the 7th point is so incredibly potent that they will start avoiding you like a contagion they simply cannot risk catching. Many people make the mistake of thinking that the best way to handle a narcissist is to fight back, engage in long arguments, or try to prove that they are right. But doing that is exactly what keeps the narcissist hooked, because it provides them with the attention, drama, and sense of control they crave. What actually works is when you become calm, peaceful, and completely unbothered. By doing this, you stop being interesting to them. You stop supplying them with the emotional energy they depend on to survive. Today, I am going to walk you through exactly how to achieve that, step by step. Before we get into it, let us be clear about something very important. This is not about manipulation, and it is not about getting revenge. This is about reclaiming your peace, your personal power, and your mental sanity. You must understand that narcissists function like emotional vampires. They survive by feeding on your reactions, your energy, your fear, your anger, and your sadness. As long as you continue to react, they will always find a reason to come back for more. Psychology and extensive research consistently show that narcissists operate under the delusion that they own you. In their minds, you are not a person with your own autonomy and freedom. Instead, you are viewed as a source of emotional supply that they feel entitled to use whenever they want. But here is the truth that they would never want you to discover. That entire illusion shatters the moment you stop playing the role they have assigned you in their game. When you refuse to react, stop chasing them, and stop explaining yourself, they lose their grip on control. So, let us go through the 7 specific things that make narcissists lose interest and move on from you forever. And remember, the 7th one is the most powerful of them all. The first thing you must do is stop giving them any kind of emotional reaction. Narcissists consume your emotions as if they were fuel. They do not care whether you express love for them or hatred toward them. The only thing they care about is that you are still reacting and that you still care enough to feel something intense. When you cry, beg, argue, or try to justify your side of the story, you are giving them exactly what they want. Think of it like dealing with a spoiled child. When a child throws a tantrum and receives attention, they quickly learn that the tantrum is an effective tool to get what they want. Narcissists operate in the same way, except they are adults who possess the emotional maturity of a toddler. Whenever you react, they feel a sense of power. But when you stop reacting, when you remain calm and emotionally flat, they lose that control. At first, they will definitely try harder. They will say things intended to hurt you, attempt to provoke you, or even pretend that they have changed. They will do whatever it takes to elicit a reaction from you. But when you give them absolutely nothing, no anger, no sadness, and no excitement, they will begin to deflate. After all, what is the point of putting on a performance when the audience has completely stopped watching? This does not mean you are faking indifference. It means you have reached a genuine point where their opinions, their insults, and their drama simply do not register as significant to you anymore. That is what real strength looks like. The second thing you must do is practice total no contact in the proper way. Many people think they are practicing no contact, but they keep finding ways to make small exceptions. Real no contact means absolutely no communication, no curiosity, and no checking in on them. Experts have identified 5 specific areas where people often accidentally break contact. These include direct messages, indirect messages sent through other people, social media stalking, driving past their home, or asking mutual acquaintances for updates about them. You have to close every single one of those doors. Imagine a burglar walking down a street looking for a target. He approaches a house with a locked gate, security cameras, bright lights, and a barking dog. He will walk away and look for an easier target. But if he spots a house with open windows and no security system, that is exactly where he will head. Narcissists think the same way. They are always on the lookout for easy access. So, if you make things difficult for them, they will naturally move on to someone else. That is why your no contact policy must be complete and absolute. Block their phone number, block their social media accounts, and feel free to change your own number if you feel it is necessary. Tell your mutual friends that you do not want to receive any updates about them, and that you do not want to provide any updates about your own life either. But here is the part that most people find the hardest. You also have to stop checking up on them. Every single time you view their profile or ask someone about how they are doing, you are breaking your own boundaries. Somehow, they always seem to sense when you are watching. But when you go fully silent, you become invisible to them. And narcissists are unable to manipulate what they cannot see. They cannot control what they cannot contact. They might try to test you every now and then to see if you are still there, but if you never respond, they will eventually give up and move on. The third thing is to stop defending or explaining yourself to them. Narcissists are absolute masters at twisting your words and making you feel as though you have a duty to justify your every move. They will accuse you of things you never even did just to keep the conversation going. The more you explain your side, the deeper you fall into their carefully laid trap. When you defend yourself, you are implicitly accepting the idea that you require their approval to exist. You are handing them the power to judge your worth as a person. But just imagine what happens when you decide to stop doing that. If they call you selfish and you simply respond by saying, "Okay," they are stunned. If they say that you never cared about them and you reply, "That is just your opinion," the conversation stalls. Suddenly, they lose control because their entire manipulative structure relies on your desperate need to be understood by them. When you stop caring about their opinion, they lose the ability to hurt you. You do not need their approval to know who you are. You do not have to prove your goodness, your loyalty, or your capacity for love, because to them, none of those things actually matter. This does not mean you have to just sit back and let lies spread if your reputation is at stake. If someone at your workplace threatens your job, you should absolutely defend yourself in a professional manner. But in your personal relationships, the best move is silence. Stop playing their game. When you stop offering explanations, you are demonstrating that their opinions have absolutely no power over you. You are essentially telling them that they no longer have the authority to define who you are. And that is something a narcissist simply cannot stand. The fourth thing is to become genuinely indifferent to them. Pretending not to care will not work because narcissists are very good at sensing fake energy. Real indifference means that you have healed to the point where you truly do not care what they do, who they are with, or what they have to say about you. They become emotionally irrelevant to your life. You no longer check their social media updates. You no longer wonder about what is going on in their life, and you no longer hope that they miss you. They are just another person living on this planet who no longer has any access to your emotions. To reach this state, you have to allow yourself to grieve. You have to grieve for the illusion of the relationship and for the version of them that you mistakenly believed was real. You have to accept the reality that the person you thought you loved never actually existed in the way you imagined. Once you fully process that pain, you will gain a profound sense of peace. Then you will start seeing them for who they really are. They are not mysterious and they are not powerful. They are deeply broken and profoundly insecure individuals. You will realize that their cruelty stems from a place of emptiness. Their need to control comes from their own internal fear. And once you truly understand that, you will stop taking their behavior personally. They will lose their hold on you completely. True indifference is not the same thing as hate. Hate is a strong emotion, and hate still feeds them. Indifference means you feel nothing, just pure neutrality. You stop trying to understand them, you stop trying to fix them, and you stop trying to change them. They simply cease to exist in your emotional world. That is the exact moment you become truly free. The fifth step is to focus entirely on your own life. This is the stage where your real healing begins to take root. You stop living your life as a reaction to them. You stop posting photos on social media just to try and make them jealous. You stop doing things just to prove your worth to someone who cannot see it. You stop going to places hoping you might bump into them by accident. You stop constantly wondering what they would think if you did a certain thing. Instead, you start living for yourself. You begin starting new projects, you meet new and kind people, and you pursue your own dreams. You spend your time doing the things that genuinely excite you Instead of replaying the painful memories of the past in your head, you invest your time and energy into your own personal growth, your physical health, and your own joy. And then something truly amazing happens. You start to glow from within. Your energy becomes peaceful, happy, and fulfilled. Narcissists absolutely hate this transition because it completely destroys the illusion they created that you cannot survive without them. They want you to remain miserable, broken, and stuck missing them. But when you are living your best life, their control over you fades away. When you focus on yourself, you no longer have the time or the desire to think about their chaotic world. You are too busy building a life of peace and satisfaction. You stop comparing your success to theirs. You stop competing for their attention. You stop explaining your choices. You stop caring about their narrative. And that inner peace becomes your protective shield. It guards you against ever being pulled back into those old, toxic patterns again. The sixth thing is to stop trying to expose them or change them. This is often one of the most difficult steps because your sense of justice screams at you that they must be held accountable for what they have done. You want to warn others. You want to force the world to see the truth about who they are. But every single time you try to expose them, you're actually feeding them more of your own energy because to a narcissist, even negative attention is still attention. They do not care if you hate them or think they are a bad person. They only care that you are still obsessed with them and talking about them. When you try to expose them, they often play the victim card and twist the story to make themselves look like the one who was wronged. They will go out of their way to make others believe that you are the one who is obsessed, bitter, or emotionally unstable. They are usually very charming to outsiders, and they have likely already told everyone their own fabricated version of the story. So, when you finally speak up, it often comes across as further proof of their lies to people who do not know better. It is incredibly unfair, but it is the truth of the situation. The same logic applies to trying to change them. You cannot fix someone who refuses to acknowledge that there is even a problem. Sending them articles about narcissism, begging them to seek professional help, or trying to explain their own toxic patterns to them is a total waste of your time. It will only frustrate you more. If they could be changed, they would have changed for the better a long time ago. Stop trying to educate them. Stop trying to convince them of your reality. The only person you can control is yourself. So put that energy into your own well-being instead. Finally, we arrive at the seventh and most powerful step. You must reclaim your internal narrative. For so long, you have allowed the narcissist to hold the pen to your life story. You have lived according to their rules, their accusations, and their version of events. But the most powerful thing you can do is to start writing your own story again. This means you decide what is true, what is important, and what your values are. When they try to inject their toxicity into your mind, you have the power to reject it instantly. You recognize that their words are just noise. When you fully reclaim your narrative, you stop being a character in their movie and you become the director of your own life. This creates a wall of indifference so thick that they cannot penetrate it. They will realize that they have no more influence over your thoughts, your emotions, or your future. When a narcissist sees that they have lost their power to influence your internal world, they will inevitably retreat. They cannot stand being around someone who is completely comfortable in their own truth. This is the ultimate victory. You are no longer looking for their validation. You are no longer waiting for them to apologize or to understand your pain. You have accepted that they are who they are, and you have moved on to a life that is vibrant, healthy, and entirely yours. Once you have mastered these 7 steps, you will no longer be a target. You will be a person who has reclaimed their dignity and their freedom. It might take time to get to this point, and that is perfectly okay. Be patient with your healing process. Every day that you choose your own peace over their drama, you are winning. Every day that you refuse to engage, you are growing stronger. The narcissist relies on your participation to keep their cycle of abuse going. When you decide that you are finished participating, the cycle has nowhere to go. You are essentially starving them of the thing they crave most. And once they realize that you are completely out of reach, they will look for someone else to bother. By that time, you will be so far along in your own journey that you won't even notice they are gone. You will have built a life that is so fulfilling that their presence in your past will feel like a fading memory. Always remember that you have the power to decide how your story ends. You are the one who determines how much space they get to take up in your mind. Keep your boundaries firm, keep your heart protected, and keep moving forward. You deserve to live a life free from the manipulation and the darkness that they represent. Your peace is worth more than any argument, any explanation, or any attempt to force them to see the truth. Choose yourself every single day. Choose your sanity. Choose your happiness. And watch as the world opens up in ways you never thought possible once you have finally let them go. You are not alone in this journey, and there are so many people who have been exactly where you are and have come out the other side stronger than ever. The path to healing is not always a straight line, but as long as you keep walking forward, you are moving in the right direction. Stay focused on your own goals, stay surrounded by people who truly care about you, and never let anyone make you feel small again. The narcissist is a shadow, but you are the light. And shadows cannot exist where there is a steady, burning flame of self-respect. Keep that flame alive, and you will never have to worry about them ever again. This is your life, and you get to decide how it is lived. You are the architect of your own joy. And from this point forward, nothing and no one can take that away from you without your permission. So take a deep breath, hold your head up high, and step into the future you have created for yourself. It is a beautiful life, and it is waiting for you to fully live it. Stay strong, stay focused, and keep reclaiming your power. All of those actions actually provide them with more control. They serve to keep you emotionally tethered to them. You need to realize that their healing is not your job. Their level of self-awareness is not your responsibility to manage. You cannot teach empathy to someone who has no desire to feel it. When you finally stop trying to change them or expose their true nature to the world, you reclaim your own energy. You stop playing the role of the tragic hero in their twisted story and start becoming the main character in your own life. That is where the real victory is found. The best revenge is simply living well. This is not meant to hurt them, but rather to heal yourself. When you are happy, strong, and at peace, that is the one thing they can never steal from you. And now we move on to the seventh and final step. You must become completely emotionally unavailable as a source of supply. This represents the ultimate form of personal freedom. It happens when you are not just physically distant, but also emotionally untouchable. They can no longer trigger you because you have detached from the need for their approval or their attention. When they send you a message, you do not reply. When they try to insult you, you do not flinch. When they offer you empty praise, you do not melt. You remain steady, calm, and grounded. You provide them with absolutely nothing. No anger, no love, no pity, and no explanation. You become as still and immovable as a rock. This is not being cold out of hatred, but being peaceful out of strength. When you reach this level, you do not just make one narcissist lose interest in you. You stop attracting them into your life entirely. They have an uncanny ability to sense when someone no longer has any emotional supply to give, and they naturally move on. You become invisible to toxic people, but magnetic to kind ones. You start drawing people into your world who match your peace, instead of those who exist only to test it. Becoming emotionally unavailable is not about putting on a mask or pretending to be strong. It is about becoming truly and genuinely healed from the inside out. It is about realizing that your internal peace is far too precious to waste on people who exist only to drain it. When you are emotionally unavailable to manipulation, you are truly free. You can finally live your life without their shadow looming over you. So, there you have it. These are the 7 powerful ways to make a narcissist leave you alone for good. Stop giving them any kind of emotional reaction. Commit to a state of no contact and keep those boundaries firm. Stop trying to defend or explain yourself to them. Become genuinely indifferent to their presence. Focus completely on your own life and your own goals. Stop wasting your time trying to expose or change them. And finally, become emotionally unavailable as a source of supply. This is not about punishing them or winning a competition. This is about reclaiming your peace, your joy, and your self-respect. When you follow these steps, you do not just make them lose interest. You set yourself free. The goal is never to hurt them. The goal is always to heal yourself. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can ever do is simply walk away quietly and never look back. Not because you hate them, but because you have finally learned to love yourself more than you ever loved them. You do not owe them your pain, your reaction, or any form of closure. You owe yourself peace. When you rise above their games and stop responding to their manufactured chaos, you become untouchable. You become the one thing they cannot control, which is a person who is calm, grounded, and free. And that is when you truly win. You do not win by defeating them, but by choosing yourself. If this message has helped you, keep learning, keep growing, and keep choosing peace every single day. Because the life that is waiting for you beyond their control is more beautiful and peaceful than you can even imagine. When you finally break free from their cycle, something truly amazing begins to happen inside you. You start to see just how much of your precious life was spent trying to earn love from someone who never had any real love to give. You realize how many times you tried to explain your side of things, hoping they would finally understand, only to be misunderstood or twisted all over again.